What's going on, everybody? Wow, we got a few people here from the REIpreneurs community, and some of them hustle media clients, remote Latinos clients. I'm excited. If you guys can hear me well, um, and you guys are ready for this masterclass, drop a number one if you guys are excited how to learn how to create a remote call center for your RI business or whatever business you got with remote professionals. All right. So if you guys are excited to learn and get all the juice and all the jam-packed knowledge that Christian is gonna here provide with us, um, present number one. I'm excited here for everybody. Before we go about that, I'm gonna introduce this masterclass and obviously this community a little bit. Entrepreneurs is real estate entrepreneurs. And yeah, a lot of the different type of skills and things that we're teaching here can be applied to different industries, but everyone is buying houses, wholesaling houses, fix and flipping, doing Airbnb, whatever it is that you do. And we're bringing you guys guests like experts, like Outbound Pro, which is a company based out of Toronto that they're specialized in creating outbound systems for whether that's warm or cold for the industry. So I brought in here today Christian Betancourt. He has a presentation and a few freebies here for everybody so that you guys get the most out of it. And at the end of the call, we'll be giving you guys a giveaway or a free access to a few things. Obviously, if you guys end up wanting to create your own call center, you'll have all the fundamentals and everything there to create the infrastructure. But if you guys need help, we can also help you guys and also give you one placement on top of that, right? So that's kind of like our offer at the end. Plus, we'll give you guys the resources that you guys need in order to get this started. Without further ado, let's introduce Christian. Christian is my guy that we've been working for already, I want to say 3 years together. And he created his own agency. He used to do outbound telecommunications for big corporations in the past. And he can tell you more about him than I can about him. So Christian, if you can start kind of telling more about yourself and also start the presentation if you want. We have here a few people already. We have more that might be a little bit late. But all right, Christian Betancourt, if you can start telling us who you are and start your presentation, that would be great.
Awesome. Awesome. First of all, thank you for having me here, Esteban. Thank you for everybody joining here this call. So I want to make sure that I provide you with as much value as possible, that you can get some takeaways, guys. And I ask you to not be shy. So if after this call you have some questions, I'm going to leave you a way to contact me after, right? So that we can get those questions answered if we run out of time. Um, Myself, I've been in marketing for over a decade. So I used to run outbound call centers, with over 400 agents. For different industries. I started working in real estate actually with Esteban 3 years ago. We ran our own agency for marketing. We were doing paid ads, we were doing outbound calling. And when we decided to take things to the next step by just really implementing and focusing on outbound calls, right? So getting seller appointments across North America was one of the things that we did very well compared to many of our competitors, right? Just getting those appointments. And later down the road, so we decided to take the same framework and apply it to other industries, right? To this date, we've done this in solar, we've done this in B2B space, calling marketing agencies, calling e-commerce shop owners, calling homeowners that want to get solar, calling everybody that we can get a hold of that needs some kind of service. Like we do this for a lot of our clients, right? So today we're gonna use it in the context of getting seller appointments, but if any questions you guys may have that may be applicable maybe to a different industry, we're gonna have time for that as well. Sounds good? All righty. So I'm gonna open up my stuff here. Is everybody in the real estate investment industry? Most of you guys? Yeah.
Drop a number one if you guys are wholesalers or flippers or just work in the REI space. I'd love to know where you guys are at. Drop a number two if you guys are service business owners, kind of like an agency or provide other services too, as well. Drop a number one if you guys are in REI, and drop a number two if you guys are in another industry like agency or services and things like that. All right, cool. We got REI. Sergio, you got two. Interesting. What will be your industry? All right, solar. Okay, cool, awesome.
Like
Um,
that.
all right, so we got majority of REI because this is the REI entrepreneurs, but as
Yeah.
you all know, this is very applicable because we're calling homeowners at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Just a different offer, just a different service, right? So, okay, man. So thank you so much, guys, for sharing that. So now who's doing cold outbound today? Drop a number one if you're doing outbound today. If you're not, drop a zero. So Rusty, you're doing it? Awesome. So I'll take silence as a zero if you guys are not putting a one. All right. So nobody's doing it. That's why you're here. You're looking to understand how to do it well. And we're gonna start right now. I'm gonna share my screen. Can you please guys let me know when you can see it?
I can see it now.
Awesome, beautiful. So what we're going to cover today, we're going to cover a few fundamentals of actually setting up your call center, such as getting an appointment setter that's going to do very well for your company and set up appointments, offer and script building, going through your ICP and data acquisition, some of the systems, KPIs, Q&A, some bonuses that we're going to have. All right. But before we get to that point, I'd like to talk about something very important that I see happens quite a bit. So when it comes to building a system, synergy is everything. So I see many companies, they actually have a rockstar setter. Oh my goodness, guys, I have the best setter in the world. I just hired a person to set up appointments and I have a really good script, but the data was crap. They couldn't set appointments. They fired that person, right? Because they thought that the problem was the person, but they didn't pay attention to everything. So in order for you to be successful, you have to have every single piece of the puzzle. You have to have a rockstar setter. You have to have an offer that makes sense for your niche. You have to have great data so you can contact the right people. And then you have to have a dialer that's going to enable you to connect with more of them, right? There are many more variables that are, come into play here, but I just want to stress this point, guys, that everything is important. Do not leave anything out, because if you do leave one part out, you may get some results, but it's not going to be consistent. Okay. So first thing, how do we get a rockstar setter? So I'm going to show you a little bit of what we do. So who we're looking for, right? My team specializes in hiring people from Latin America and Jamaica. There are many other locations like the Philippines. There are, many, I hear people hire people in Egypt, but the best people that we found, they're in Latin America. So we had in Colombia, Mexico, Argentina, and Jamaica, right? So Jamaica, I think that's a pretty good country that a lot of people don't really prospect in, right? Or get people from, but it's they're very good with English speaking as a first language, almost like barely accents, right? So and they're very affordable. What we also look for is we look for previous experience in cold calling. We want to make sure that they've done it before, because we want to avoid any shocks. Like, when you take somebody with a profile of customer service and they go into a call, like start cold calling in a day, it's a very different environment, right? It's almost like you have to be wired to take so much rejection and to take so much pressure, because you make so many calls only to end up with a few prospects. So that's why we always hire people that have that relevant skill set and they've done it before, so that we can ramp them up a little bit faster as well. We also like to hire people that have done some sort of sales. Okay, I don't care what kind of sales you do, as long as it's been done for over a year, so that you have the basic understanding of what selling a product or service is. Then we go into tonality and communication. So communication and tonality, I appreciate that more than accents, to be honest, because we have some of the best performers on our teams and that we have placed before. They may have a bit of an accent, but the way they communicate with people is so much better. than what I would even do myself, right? They can even mirror them. They can have that tonality that's so nice, and they can have really good conversation. So I look for that more so than looking for somebody that with a perfect accent, to be quite honest. I've made the mistake at least 10 times where I hired somebody that looked like a rock star. They had the best accent, right? Oh my goodness, the video recording or the voice recording was beautiful. You know, you get excited because they sound so good. But they didn't last over a week because they couldn't set any appointments, because they didn't have the right tonality, they didn't have any experience in sales. They were just, horrible, right, to begin with. So these are the things that I really look for on a team member to be able to get those appointments. And lastly, to be able to drive that culture, to be able to get them engaged and motivated, right? I like to get to know them a little bit better at a deeper level, such as, why are you here? What are your goals? Why do you need this job, etc. I think that's, getting a very basic understanding of where they want to get to, so they can tie it to basically what they're going to be doing for you. If you don't understand why they're going to be sitting here, you put yourself at risk of attrition, right? Of hiring someone really good, but their why was not strong enough to be able to hold on to the job for a long time. Does that make sense? Cool. Now, in terms of pay, and I'm going to show you how we actually execute on this search a little bit after. Typically, what I see, they're looking for anywhere between $1,000 to $1,500 a month, including commissions. So their base starting at $5 to $7 an hour, right? For getting a person that's going to fit the bill. What we want to do is we want to incentivize them on commission, right? So that they can be almost uncapped. So they're able to set many appointments, or getting appointments that show up, or getting appointments that close, right? They have to have some sort of structure that they can make more money as opposed to just the base rate. All right. So before I move on, I want to make sure that if anybody has any questions on this, and then I'll go to the next state. No questions. I'll see the chat with a 0. Okay. Awesome. So now, where do we find these people? So we have 2 channels that we use and that I prefer. You can go the Done For You way, which is remote Latinos. They already have a lot of people that are pre-qualified. They have really great videos and amazing people, actually. So if you want something to be done for you, you want it fast, go with remote Latinos. If you want to do it yourself, and you want to screen people, and you want to just, vet them and get on the phone with them and have these conversations yourself, I'm going to show you how to do it on Facebook ads. All right. So I'm just going to pause my video for 1 second so that I can open that up. In the meantime, you guys have any questions, please drop them in the chat. Right.
No, I think we can continue.
Yep. Just open that up right now because it closed up. My apologies. All right, guys. So when creating basically a campaign to hire somebody, so I'm just gonna, what I like to do, right? You can do it in a couple different ways, right? So when you use Facebook ads, you want to get leads. That's the type of campaign that we run. Now, to be able to do this properly, once you start setting it up, avoid anything that says tailor leads, just do it manually. I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. You have to declare the category that you're going to be advertising for, which is employment. Okay, so always check it off because you're going to be basically recruiting here. And while we go through here, okay, and I'll get to your question about tracking. Thank you, Stephen. Now, here you want to select the countries that you're going to be prospecting in. So I'm not going to prospect in Canada. That's not what I'm looking for. So you'll select your favorite countries. So I will start with Colombia. I love working with Colombians. Then you can select Mexico, right? Argentina, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm just going to leave this as an example here. Now, when building, we have a few pages that we run jobs for. So we can just create a Facebook page, whatever you want to call it. Solar jobs, could be something related to your company, could be something that you want to just keep it a little bit more, hidden, right? So we run this page. So we have our own page for recruiting appointment setters. We focus on conversions, but really what I like to do here, guys, I'd like to focus on the targeting of the audience, right? So the first things that I look for, obviously make sure that whatever location you put on the special ads category will match here, right? For example, Colombia. If you don't have Colombia or Mexico or whatever country you want to target, it's not going to let you do it here. Okay, to make sure that it's the same when you set it up at the beginning. Languages, we like to make sure that everybody is in English, right? So that their Facebook is in English. So you'll get higher, like, it's going to be more likely that you're going to find the right people that you're looking for. Now here, what I like to do for targeting, I like to do two very important things. The first one, I like to look for people that are in sales, that are interested in sales, telemarketing, right? Go some suggestions to give you an idea, right? Telesales agent, call center. So those kind of interests, and I narrow it down by employment. So they're looking for an employment for employment right now. So they're looking at careers, they're looking for their job hunting, their recruitment, employment website. You get the gist of it, right? So that way, Facebook's only going to show your ads to people that are looking, that are interested in telemarketing, telesales, sales, anything related to sales. But at the same time, they're also looking for an opportunity. Okay, that's very important. I know the leads are not going to be super expensive, compared to what you would get in North America, but this could mean that, your cost per lead would be less than half if you were to do it without it. Okay, so I have some questions here. Okay, so yeah, can be applied to any vertical, Garrett, just to let you know. So we do this for across the board, right? Whether we want to hire somebody for solar, real estate, or B2B. So what makes a difference is the ad that we run, right? Could be more tailored to real estate specific jobs, could be solar jobs, etc. So I'm going to show you how to do that. It's honestly super simple. I don't like to overcomplicate things. So I'm going to get down to the ad here. Everything else, I keep it simple. So once you have your targeting, I do about $10 a day. You don't need much because each application should cost you anywhere between 30 cents to 50 cents, right? Maybe $1 at tops, but it's honestly going to be very inexpensive to get quite a bit of applications, guys. So keep it at $10 a day. I wouldn't run it for more than a couple of days because you're going to be flooded. Unless you have a full-time, recruiter that's going to be doing this every single day, you're not going to have time to go through every application. All right. Any questions, guys, here before I move on? No? All right, cool. Awesome. So now we want to attract the right people. So this is where you get a little bit creative with what you want to advertise, right? So for example, ourselves, the ad copy, typically I like to do the job that I'm looking for, right? So I'm just going to do it very fast here. Right, so primary text, B2B cold callers for solar. Right, you can make it pop a little bit. So the copy structure would be super.
Let's say real estate. Let's say real estate.
Okay, there you go. Okay, now you want to get a little bit of, you want to capture their interest, right? So it's sales. Above default, when you open the ad, you want it to show something that's relevant to them, right? Are you looking for a fully remote job that can help you make let's say 1K to 1.5K. Then you can add a little bit of a description here. I like the check mark. I'm showing you the super basic version of this, guys. You can get a little bit more detailed if you want to do it, but this would definitely get you a lot of leads. So fluent in English, right? Then you can do here. Must have experience in sales. So you can have your requirements, whatever they may be. So I would like for, must have experience in sales, able to start right away, right? Little to no accent. Access to high-speed internet. If you are interested in this opportunity, click on apply now. Now, this is simple, okay? I run better ads, but I just want to show you guys kind of like the raw version of how to do this. Now, as far as the headline goes, you want to make sure that, again, it's related to what they're looking for, right? So remote. With core colors, right? Then you can just tweak them around, but if you keep it simple. Now the image, we'll get to that in a second. I'll do apply now so that it sounds like it's an application. Now, if you were to be targeting the traffic to be sent to, I don't know, to a landing page, then you can use for the landing page here and make sure that the conversions over here on the ad set will be going to, instead of instant forms, to a landing page. If you have like a job website or a form that you want them to fill out on your website, that's the way to do it. But if you don't have that yet and you just want to start getting applications like almost ASAP, I would leverage lead forms. Now for the image, what I usually prefer here, something simple like this, right? I'm gonna just bam. There you go. I go into Canva, I can put this together in like 5 minutes. Just again, repeating the same message, right? Remote appointment setters, remote call callers. Just repeat the same things that they want to see, right? They call out to your audience. So what are you looking for? What are they looking to make? Some of the basic requirements that are a must. And again, just trying to drive that click, right? Apply. All right, so we have one question here. Okay, no questions. So we had a comment to say that they have no questions. Thank you. Now, in terms of the instant form, this is basically for any of you guys that is not familiar with running ads. It's just basically Facebook's way to keep like the landing page inside their platform. It's just a way for you to fill out a form to give their information to whoever's going to receive it. Okay. So I'm going to show you here one sample. Right. So we go back and we do the headline here. You can remove all of this information if you like. Remove the greeting so people can just get straight to the point. But I ask some questions here, right? Just to kind of pre-qualify. You can ask as many as you want. What are you available? Hours on EST? What kind of cold calling or sales experience do you have? And what I do on here, I want to get a cold recording. I want to get some sort of voice recording to listen to them live, because I don't want to be wasting my time with hundreds of applications and they don't sound good. So essentially, there's this website called Vocaroo. Okay, I'm going to show you what it looks like. So I tell them to go here. make a quick recording. Hi, my name is Christian. I'm applying for this job because I'm unemployed. Once they're done, they can just share this with us. And they can just go back to the Facebook form, which is here, and they would give us that information. So when it comes to like now vetting the applications, this is the first thing that we look at, right? Question 2 and number 3. And then we would contact only the people that we're interested in. Any questions here, guys? It's pretty straightforward, no? All right, cool. Let's see here. And we want to get an understanding of what they're expecting in terms of, earnings. And now if you have any other specific questions to your industry, right? You want to like, have you worked in real estate before, right? You can add them. What kind of cold calling experience do you have in real estate? Have you ever set any seller appointments, right? Whatever you want, just to make sure that you don't waste your time. But trust me here, guys, a lot of people are going to apply. So the more questions you add, the better. And a lot of people are going to get lazy. They're not going to give you the recording. They're not going to give you anything. So you can just quickly, delete those that don't have the recording. I don't waste my time because there's so many people that need this. Okay. All right, guys. So this is, once you're done, you basically would start getting, you'll get it approved within like a few hours, max a day, and you should be getting applications tomorrow, right? Does anybody have any questions about next steps, what to do with the application? So once you get the application, how to filter them, etc. Want to make sure that I cover everything that you guys need from this topic.
I think it's good. We can cover more details on this, in another live or something. But yeah.
Okay, cool. Awesome. So let me go to the next topic now. All right. So now going back to the presentation here, guys. So before you build a script, before you get to anything or start calling people, right? We want to make sure that you understand who you're calling, right? And this applies to any industry. Solar, what do they care about? You have to really understand what the person that you're calling cares about. So in the context of real estate, right? What I want to know about my avatar or what I'm going to be doing for my call calling, I want to understand who they are. What kind of property details am I looking for? Location, what ages, what pain points do they have? The people that I want to solve problems for, right? Well, they have financial distress, the property condition's not good. There may be, landlords that are sick and tired of having that property, right? Somebody inherited a property, you already know the game, but fully understanding who they are and aligning your solution on your goals with their pain points, right? So how is like selling their home going to provide them with financial relief, right? Some of them may be looking for a quick sale, right? They just want to get rid of this property really fast. They didn't really want it in the first place, right? Some people may want to try to avoid foreclosure, right? They're in pre-foreclosure right now. They cannot afford their payments anymore. So they just want to avoid having any legal issues. So they want to sell it fast, right? So understanding that would allow you to essentially get down to the next step, which is you building your script. So I assume you guys as the expert marketers, or you're having done this job for a while, you want to understand these things. But when it comes to carrying that on a conversation and a cold call, it's very important that whoever's going to make those calls, that they fully understand what they're doing and that they understand the mindset that they're actually going on a call to try to help somebody. Because I see many cold callers fail because they don't understand this, right? They're not being taught this topic. They go make a call and they feel like they're bothering people. They're like, oh my goodness, I'm afraid of a phone. Like I cannot get appointments. But you know what, man? You have the wrong freaking mindset. You have to go on these calls and make sure that you understand that you're trying to help somebody that may need help. Right? Yes, it's a win-win, right? You guys are trying to make some money. Everybody is. But at the same time, their situation may be too bad. Maybe they may be in a very difficult situation right now. And maybe through your offer, through you getting that property bought, they can get that relief, right? And that's the mindset that I try to teach everybody. Don't have a telemarketer mindset. Think about it as you're trying to help somebody. All right. So let's see comments. Yeah, we'll go ahead. We'll continue, Garrett. Don't worry. All right, guys. So next topic. So solving the problem, right? So we want to make sure that we solve their problem. We want to make that offer / introduction / reason for call just simple enough that it would tackle what they feel, right? To try to get them to get some interest, some reaction, right? So either, you're providing cash offers to people, maybe you're trying to look for different type of buyers or different type of approaches, but in the sense of like getting a cash offer done, just basically you're calling somebody to make an offer so that they can fix their pain point and achieve whatever goal they want in X amount of time, right? So having this concept, when you go into the call and start building a script, that's what's going to make you, really understand how to have very good conversations. All right, guys. So, but before we get that to the script, we want to understand who we're going to reach out to before we put that together. So as you guys know, there's so many distressed homeowners, tire landlords, owners of damaged properties, absentee owners, divorcees, so many, right? My favorite, but that I do for my job, right? Because I actually work with a lot of real estate professionals. I was looking for distressed homeowners, right? That data is available in a lot of sources, and I'm going to show you a little bit more how we get it, right? But yeah, essentially the stress homeowners, if you want to get a little bit fancy, there's so many other different sources that I can show you. And I'm going to show you that right now, guys. So before I continue, has anyone heard of any of these vendors before? Have you used them?
Yes.
Okay. So PropStream, I think everybody's heard of PropStream, Batch Leads, and Radix. I think those are the most popular. Okay, so let's see here. Awesome. So to me, my favorite data, I use a combination of things, right? So I'm going to just quickly open up one thing here. 1 second, guys. My computer is a little bit funny. Okay, cool. So I made my notes here to make sure that I had everything right. So PropStream technically helps me with getting a lot of people in financial distress, right? If you want to get absentee owners list source, that's the one that I use. If you want to get owners of high equity properties, there's so many other industries like US Redix, you can get homeowners and expire listings, divorcees, inheritors, like for example, successors data. This is when you can get information of people that inherited properties, right? So, which is really cool. Just have to know what you're looking for, and you'll have a vendor that will be basically speaking that language, right? They're gonna get you that data, and at the end of the day, you may get information of them. You can get it scraped if they don't have the number, and we can help you guys with that. We have some scrapers, that we can connect you with if they don't have it already available. But our best results, just to keep it simple and generic and inexpensive, right? We've bought leads that cost less than 1 cent per lead, all the way to 10 cents per lead using such services like PropStream. PropStream, for example, and depending on the market, we've done sometimes out of 100 leads, we'd get like 2 to 5 appointments, right? Just 100 of them. The key thing is like knowing how to search and how to do that. But I'm gonna send you guys a video, and I'll make sure that I share that with you after the call. So any questions here, guys, some vendors for data? No questions. Any comments?
Actually, I do have a question, Christian.
Yeah.
What do you think of, when you go on those sites like Upwork or Fiverr, and then there's the freelancers who market basically getting leads for you. They don't really specify like where their source is from. Like, what do you think of getting leads from those sources?
I've done it before. I would always ask for a sample
Uh-huh,
before I commit to anything, to try to test that data.
got it.
I am, in terms of the sources, they're not gonna tell you, right? Or if they tell you, they're probably gonna lie to you, right?
Hmm.
So proceed with caution. The good thing about the US is that, a lot of data is public, so they just have to figure out a way how to put it all together. But I've used like vendors that would give me 80,000 records for $100. We got results out of them, but we had to make so many calls, right?
Right.
And a lot of people were ticked off that we were calling them. And a lot of wrong numbers. Like I would say like 50% of the numbers were wrong. So I'd rather just invest a little bit more money in a proper vendor just to get started, and then do a test as well. You can buy some cheaper data from somebody on Upwork or whatever. I use it at your own risk, but I would definitely just ask for test data. I don't want to just buy things and not know whether it's gonna work. So I ask for 100 records. If they push back and they don't want to send you anything, not even 50 records, then I would probably move on.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
No worries. All right. Any other questions? Carlos? No, you're paying attention. I see you. You good? All right. I like to put people on the spot.
All good, man.
All righty. So guys, now on to the next topic. Now you have a rockstar setter. Okay. You understand the concept of the pain points of what you're trying to achieve. Now you want to get into like, okay, so now what do I say? How do I break down my questions? How do I build my scripts? What's really important about this conversation that I'm about to have when I have somebody on the phone, right? So if you see on the right hand side here, the first 30 seconds are the most important part of your call. This is where people have that barrier. They want to hang up on you. They don't know you, that they're just humans, right? They want to reject that call. They're used to it, right? They don't like strangers, especially in the US. They don't like strangers. They're just like, they get too many freaking calls. So the first thing you want to work on with whoever you hire is how do you get them past the first 30 seconds of a call? I highlighted in green what those two sections should be. Okay? That introduction and capturing their interest. That's literally the first 30 seconds, right? And I'm going to show you in a little bit what that would look like. I just, some mock script that I put together. But after the first 30 seconds, I've looked at the data myself. So people that we keep on the phone for even past 45 seconds, close to a minute, over 80% of them convert to an appointment, right? Because if they're on the phone, it's because you have captured their interest and they have something that they have to share with you, right? So what do you need to do? Make sure that whatever you work on before you start making calls is your intro. Okay. So make sure that you master that people are not hanging up on you, that they give you at least 20 seconds of their time. Right? How do you achieve that? Tonality, right? Making sure that whoever you have making those calls, like they can communicate with well, they can just speak almost at the same pace as them. You want to have just a natural conversation. You don't want to sound like you don't want to speak too fast if they're like older people, like you just want to make sure that you have that you have that emotional connection. And then the rest of the job is going to be done by capturing their interest, right? Literally getting straight to the point as to why you're calling them. So I'm going to show you a little bit of what that would look like. So just give me one sec, guys. All right. All right. My one day with issues here. Love it. Right, cool. Let's put this together on the fly last night, right? I'll give you guys access to one of the actual scripts that we use after the call. But you want to keep it simple, right? Calling you about X property. May I speak with whatever name you have on file? They're going to try to hang up on you. Who is this? Who is this? Who is this, right? Capturing the interest. Here's where you basically give them a reason for a call, right? I'm calling you because we're looking to purchase properties in your area with cash offers. We could offer you an offer that makes sense to you. Would you be interested in selling? Shut up. Don't say anything here. Just wait for that reaction. If you make it past here and you don't convert that into an appointment, your appointment setter sucks, right? Whatever introduction here you want to do, maybe you're offering to buy the property in a different way, different strategies, but literally, this is where it comes down to what they care about, right? They care about getting an offer that makes sense to them so that they can get that financial relief, so that they can get out of that house, right? Something that makes sense to them, right? I'm not saying that I'm going to give you the best offer in the world, something that makes sense. Because we know as you know, real estate investors, you want to make sure that you get the home for a good deal, right? You don't want to pay top price for that. You're not a realtor. So getting that kind of conversation out, a kind of message, just kind of puts that in their head that it almost tricks them in a way that they're going to feel like, oh, an offer that makes sense to me. So I want $1 million. But what it's really going to do is just going to open up the conversation for you, right? How you say it obviously matters, right? But to do that, guys, we have to get into a lot of detail and like actually do role plays on the call over here. I'm open to that if we have time at the end. But just want to kind of give you an idea of really what you should be focusing on at the beginning, okay? Once you're able to get that person on the phone, then the rest should be a piece of cake how we structure it, right? If I go over here, you know, really transitioning that conversation into kind of like asking some questions to make sure that you get to know them. For example, I would say something like this, right? Like to me, 1 second here. There you go. Transition is like, okay, perfect. You know, now I would like to understand what kind of property so that we can actually make a proper assessment and give you the right offer, right? Or, you know, get an understanding of what actually we could offer you for this property. So what kind of home do you have? Have you done any recent repairs? What's the condition of a property? If you were to sell it, you know, how soon would you be able to sell it, or, you know, looking to sell? Those kind of qualification questions that would tell you whether the prospect, you know, is somebody that's motivated. And then you go into closing that appointment, objection handling, or doing a transfer, et cetera, et cetera. So for the sake of time, I'm trying to move a little bit fast here, but I want to make sure that you guys understand the main points, which is essentially getting the first 30 seconds down properly, transition into questions, but ask the questions in a way that you're going to build rapport, not in a way that sounds invasive, make it conversational, such as like, oh, by the way, what kind of property do you have? Oh, beautiful. You know, how many bedrooms? Okay, great. May I ask you, like, you know what, what's the condition of it? Does it need a lot of repairs? Oh, yeah, I know, I understand that. You know, I spoke to some people, you know, yesterday that they were in the kind of same situation. You know, if you were to sell it, you know, how soon would you want to sell it? Within a month? Okay, amazing. Great, great. That actually works with us as well, Jennifer. So why don't we do this, right? Tell me a little bit more about, you know, who, you know, et cetera. Just get into a conversation. And then what you want to do after you get that information, you thank them for giving that information. You know, thank you so much for sharing this. And then you would transition, if you're hiring a setter, right? They could set up an appointment for you or your team, or they can do a live transfer, right? So I'm gonna kind of go here. 1 second. Yeah, too many screens. Too many screens. All right. Here you go. So, for example, if you were to do a live transfer, based on what you shared, it sounds like you might be able to help you. I'd like to introduce you to one of our investors so that we can have a brief conversation and discuss further. Can you hold the line for 30 seconds? Right, I'm not asking him for permission. I just asking him to hold the line. Because if I ask him for permission, they're likely going to say no. And then they can transfer the lead to you, or one of your clients or whoever you want. If a transfer is not possible, then that's what we try to go and schedule that appointment. Okay. Now, live transfers, guys, everybody thinks about appointments as just an appointment that you set on the calendar. And as you know, the guys in solar and real estate, show rate could be an issue. So if you're worried about getting a lead and having conversations with people, I would 100% recommend that you guys do a live transfer. On every call, it should always be attempted. It should always be attempted, because then you can have live conversations and your show rate and your appointment deal and your appointment rate is going to increase. If you only go for the appointments and you don't have a good sales process where you actually confirm that appointment, you don't have any appointment reminders, a lot of them are not going to show up, especially if you don't have a strong presence online, right? If they were to look you up, etc. I would rather that, you do a lot of training for your setters on making sure that they do those live transfers. So you can get a lot of conversations every single day. All right. So we're here. Now, the warm calling structure, we're not going to cover that today because we're focusing on cold calling, but what it would really change here for you guys, it's, let me see here. It's the reason for call and the structure of the call. The biggest difference is really just how you introduce yourself, but the outcome would be the same. This is, for example, if you were to be getting leads from Facebook, be getting leads from Google, you would just basically, your reason for call be to follow up on that form that they filled out, as opposed to just try to go straight for the offer and whether they want to sell their property. Any questions, guys, so far? Okay, cool. None. Now, when I spoke about synergy earlier, it doesn't matter whether I have a great list again, whether I have a great agent, it won't matter if I'm not able to connect with the homeowners. So what I look for in terms of a dialer, I look for a multi-line dialer that's, anywhere from 1 to 10 lines, where you can do local presence, especially if we do nationwide kind of like lead generation, where you buy properties in different states. So having local presence is super key, because it means that you're going to need more phone numbers to call from. You have cadences, and I want to show you what we use in a minute and how it works. Spam protection, at the station, basically, making sure that your phone number is in a certificate, what we call shaken and stare. And then you register whatever phone numbers you have in these two registries here, so that you're less likely to be flagged as spam, alongside with, keeping your calls per phone number below a certain threshold. For example, if I'm using one number, I want to call less than 75 times from that number per day, right? I don't make more than 75 calls per number, because if I exceed that, especially with cold calling, you need to make so many calls. Then you want to make sure that you don't burn your numbers, because then people aren't going to pick up. So the more you have, the better. That's why I like to use a proper dialer. Okay, so I'm going to show you right now. What we use is call tools. Has anybody heard about call tools? I'm sure you have. Has anybody used it? That's a better question. You using it, Sergio?
Who here has used call tools, or actually dropped the dialer that you guys have used in the past, whether that's batch, call tools, drop the dialer name?
Got the first deal with call tools. Awesome. So it works. There you go. Up and phone. Rusty, are you just doing targeting one city, one market?
Yeah, I am only targeting one market. So I've got my acquisitions guys calling from open phone.
Gotcha. Just one line. I think just one line open phone. No, just one telephone number. You just literally dial manually, correct?
Right. Yeah, because they're taking the leads that were generated by the lead generators. And so they're just making one phone call at a time. Exactly.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. So I'm gonna show you what we use and why we like it. And then we're gonna have a few more things, such as results and KPIs, which I think everybody would really care about that. So this is one sample account for one of our Canadian accounts. So let me just open it up. There you go. So what I like about Call Tools, and I'm not a rep for Call Tools, I don't work for Call Tools, but I really had really good results here. It's their ability to buy phone numbers, right? You can buy, like, for example, here, if you work in one city, right? You want to have like 10 different numbers that you want to rotate while you make calls. So you're able to do that with Call Tools based on their calling strategies that they have. For example, the one that we set up for our clients says we do area code match, right? So if I have 10 different numbers, right, it would rotate those numbers that you have. And if you have a nationwide approach, you can have like numbers of every state, major city, and it would call that person automatically, based on the phone number that they have, right? It would just do a match. If there's no match, then it can go to a state match. If there's no state match at all, then it goes to random. So this is something really good that would increase your pickup rates. And this is where, you can control a lot of things, as well as the minimum calls that you want to do. So for example, you want to do max dials daily, 75. It would automatically protect you against over dialing with one phone number. The other stuff that I like about Call Tools is what I'm going to show you here. So when it comes to campaigns, right, so I'm just going to put it here. You can suppress federal do not call list, right? If you want to, like, you're concerned about buying data, somebody mentioned on Fiverr, and you're like, I'm not sure whether, I don't want to get in trouble, whatever your choice is, you have the ability to suppress that, right? Automatically, without having to have that scraper or that lead provider do it for you, because they're going to charge you an arm and a leg. So this automatically, you can say, well, anybody that's on the do not call list, I don't want to die, which is a great addition. And then you can select how many channels per agent, which is essentially how many dials I want to make at the same time per rep that I have online. So this goes to cold calling, right? So calling warm leads is a little bit easier. You need less attempts to get one person on the phone. But when you do random calling, like cold outbound, you want to make sure that you are able to have as many calls as possible per agent, because your connect rate is going to be a little bit lower. Okay. And I'll get into what kind of KPIs we look for in a minute. So having the right phone numbers, and I'm going to show you here. Call Tools, they have what I was talking about is the attestation, right? Making sure that they're registered properly. Attestation A, B, and C, there are different numbers that they have for each caller ID. So essentially, attestation A is the highest ranking you can get per phone number in terms of quality. It sends a certificate of trust to the carrier when you call them, so that they're less likely to be flagged as spam or to be blocked, right? Which is already a great starting point. Okay. And somebody was asking a question about how do you make sure that you understand your numbers, right? So I'm going to show you this sample right here. Call Tools, you can also do live agent reporting. You can see what people are up to right away. Okay, so what status? They're like, oh, they're on lunch, 9 minutes, awesome. I can go and monitor, what they're doing. If they were to be in a call, I can barge in, whisper, spy, do a lot of things here. That's live. But if you want to look at their results for yesterday, right? Just to give you an example, like, oh, they made 121 calls, right? Average wait time was 70 seconds. They got 2 appointments. Beautiful, right? I love that. And you can do a lot of things. You can also look at their status, like, how long they were logged in for, how much time they spend talking to people. So when it comes to payroll, right, a lot of setters, a lot of people offshore, you don't feel like you can trust them. You want to sometimes a lot of people put like recorders on their screen to time them. Here you have the ability to see exactly what they're doing on the dialer, and you can equal their pay to what they're doing here. which is super useful. And it helps you kind of like set expectations a little bit better, and you're not going out on a whim just trying to guess what they're up to every single day. And then obviously there's so much I can cover, guys. One of the things that I really like is also you have the ability to redial automatically. So if you want to just have your agent sit back and chill, right? You can say like, if somebody doesn't pick up the phone, call them again in 1 day. You know, call them in 3 days. If I call them more than 1 time, 3 times, etc. We can set different rules depending on how many times we want to call that lead and depending on the outcome of the last call, right? Which is super important to automate so that you don't rely 100% on the setter to be able to do their job manually. Because a lot of the times you'll end up disappointed because they didn't make enough dials. They didn't get, they didn't get as many connects as you wanted them to. So having a tool like this essentially helps you automate the entire calling process. And yeah, there's so many other things we can do. I'm not going to get into a lot of detail. Any questions here on this topic? No. Okay, cool.
I guess one question would be, how do you quickly set it up if you were to like what were the most important things to set up if you were to quickly get call tools and set it up? Or I don't know.
Yep, 100%. I'm going to do a sample setup. So when I create a campaign, let's say that I work in whatever market, Texas, right? I want to click it as active. Here, what it goes, but that's a live filter. Essentially, it's like a folder where we store the leads, and we'll get to that in a minute. And then the redial rules is like, how many attempts do I want to make per lead? For example, if I want to call them 3 times over 3 days or 3 times over 1 week, you don't want to overdo it with call calls because then people may complain, right? And you're going to take people off. I would say when you call, I'd rather get more volume and less attempts, right? As opposed to like calling them 20 times in 1 week. That's not going to be good. So here's where you control that. You basically set this up. You make sure that you take off call recording. You can add your agent script here if that's what you're looking for. You make sure that you allow mobile phone numbers. And your caller ID strategy, it already comes defaulted to local presence, right? Like it's already built in by the system. So we just select that, for the sake of simplicity. And then I usually start at 2 channels, per agent. And then I adjust based on whether we're getting enough pickups or not. And that's where you create it. And I want to actually select the live filter in a second. And then for live filters, it's essentially the folder that we want to target. For example, we're going to call this Texas as well. I want to filter FDNC or I want to call them. That's going to be up to you. But assuming that we want to filter them and we don't want to call people that are in the do not call list, we'll leave it on. And I'm going to show you how to upload data in a second. So we're just going to leave it like this. Now we have your campaign. So we have your campaign, but it has 0 contacts. So you want to go to contacts. You want to upload your list, right? So let's say you got that from RedX, wherever you got it from. So when you upload your list, I'm going to use this sample here. It'll map it automatically to whatever information's on that sheet. So this is what's on the CSV file. The address of a person, you'll have like, the county, city, state, and address. If you have their email, make sure that you have that email mapped. And phone number, I'd always have it as a home phone number as my primary one. You have so many fields for phone numbers. But if you call homeowners, they typically have 1. But this would apply more if you had like a business, right? That you want to do B2B. So in this case, once you're ready, you would create the tag. So typically the tag that it would give you, it would be something related to the name of the file that you're uploading. I don't know what happened. 1 second, yo. Let me freaking zoom in.
Double tap the middle of your the center of your mouse if you're Mac.
Yeah,
'Cause that
awesome. Thank you. So once I upload the list, let's say there were 725 records, it would give me an update of how many people in the do not call list and how many invalid numbers and the results, right? So now what I want to do to be able to feed my campaign, I know which file name it is. So I go to contacts. You can see the most recent updated contacts would be on the top. You can click on it, open one, join, Spanish. This person would be here. This is the tag that we got here. Basically, when we uploaded the contact. So we have the tag, we have their information. We know that they're on the FDNC, so I know this person won't be called unless I allow it to. So there's the flag here. Now what I do, just to make it work, I go to live filters, data, live filters. I go to the one that I just created, which is Texas. And I select on target the tag that I just uploaded, 704 contacts. And I would exclude, if I have all the lists that I want to exclude, you can add them here based on the tag that you uploaded them with. But I also want to exclude people that I've already set up an appointment with, that they're on our DNC list, they have a realtor, somebody helping them out, was a live transfer. So whatever disposition codes that you want to exclude, you will do that here. Click on save, and it will automatically start refreshing your list. So we'll do that in a minute. So when you go to your campaign, you have 291 contacts available. This takes into account the fact that I said do not call, people in the FDNC. Otherwise, it would be like close to 700 contacts. So now, once I have the campaign ready, and if you have multiple team members, you can assign it to them. Okay. And just put it on here. But if you just have like one agent, can just leave it to all agents. Doesn't really matter. And at this point in time, the rep should already be able to call on the agent screen, which is something that we can cover at a different time as well. So at this point, yeah, you have the data, you're ready to go, and they're ready to dial. Okay. One more thing, I just want to make sure this is obviously making sure that you have the right telephone numbers. So if you don't have any telephone numbers on your account, you cannot dial. So you can go in order, go to PBX, phone numbers, and just purchase. And you can select from whichever area code you want to get. You can buy as many as you want, right? And once you submit the order is completed, then you're going to be able to use local presence and be able to use those phone numbers to dial. This is the simplified version. There are other details we can go through, but just to give you guys an idea. Right. Do we have any questions before I go to the next topic? Cool. None. So let's talk about results. So what our team does, we like to make sure that we have a tracker. You can either simplify it in a Google Sheet, or you can actually build a tracker that will be set up in something like Google Studio or a database or a data visualization tool. But if you're just starting out, put it on Google Sheets as something super simple. Our team builds automations where we push the data from call tools inside a Google Sheet to be able to understand what happened with each call. So this is sample data that happened from yesterday in one of our accounts, right? We had to make 11,379 calls, be connected with 1,200 people, and we booked 26 appointments. Okay. Which is essentially, I connected with 10% of the calls that I had, and I converted 2% of those leads to an appointment. These leads, mind you, they're cheap leads, right? These are like your 1 cent kind of lead. The conversion rate and connect rate will vary based on the quality of the data that you purchase, okay? So we have had accounts where we buy 50 records, we get 2 appointments, such as prop stream data, where we're able to scrape it. We pay 10 cents per record, but we got 2 appointments out of 50 records. To just mind you that this will fluctuate based on what you do, but I'm just making that assumption that, we're going to go with cheap data here. So what I expect from that on a daily basis per rep is that having a dialer will enable them to make 1,000 calls per day so that they can connect with 100 people, and 2 of them will move to the next step in the process to be a qualified appointment or transfer for you. That's really what I expect from any outbound caller, to be honest, anywhere between 2 to 5 appointments a day. Set. So any questions here before I get into the cost breakdown of what having a setter on your team can do for you?
Hey, Christian, yeah, really quick. So you're saying that you've got somebody calling for 8 hours a day. They're connecting with 100 different people, and you're not just getting 2 leads, but you're getting 2 appointments set
Correct.
per caller.
Yes.
And typically when you say appointment set, what is and how many of those appointments are we converting into deals?
So I'm going to walk you through that here, right?
Okay.
Obviously, that is based a lot on the skills of the person closing those deals. We're going to get into that, but I'm going to build some numbers here. So when we hire a setter, assuming they're working 7 hours a day for $5 an hour, your cost per day is $35. In sample, this is cheap data, 1 cent per record. Okay, so really cost me this day to dial 1,000 people, cost me $45. If I got 2 appointments, my cost was $22 per appointment. Now extrapolate that to a monthly basis. I added the cost of a license for Call Tools, which is $120 per license. Okay. So my cost to get 1 setter up and running, it's about $1,100. So each appointment about $22.50 if I had my 2 per day. Some days would be 1, some days could be 3, right? But I want to hit an average per day of about 2. Now, if your show rate is 60%, right? You can even go like, a little bit higher, but I'm going to say 60%, that's a little bit more. I would say that's a fair number. And if your close rate is 5% on those that you pitched, right? On those that showed up, that should give you at least 1 deal per month, right? Obviously, you have to take them through your sales process. It just doesn't happen right away. You may make a lot of offers, some people go back and forth, etc. But ultimately, to be able to get to 1 deal with 1 setter, right? These are the numbers that you need to hit, which is a 5% close rate, which I would think would be pretty achievable. I would like to see that a little bit more. What I see for the good people that we work with, it's about 10% plus, right? 1 out of 10. But you have to do a lot of follow-ups. You have to make sure that you're really good at what you do. But these are the numbers, and why I like outbound so much is because if you set up your call center properly, you train your reps properly, you have good reps on your phone, and you have some data to be able to call, it's very predictable, right? Because you can control how many dials you make, right? You can say like, well, I need to get 100 connects per day. That's my number that I'm looking for so that I can get 2 meetings per day booked for me. And then the rest is whether they show up and whether you can close them, which are these 2 over here. And then depending on what your deal is, like if you wholesale, right, and you make $10,000 per property, then, your ROI would be pretty good. So,
Hey, Christian, one more quick question here. So these booked appointments, those are not leads. Those are actually people that are willing to take a phone call later, or is that basically what we would consider as a lead?
it'll be somebody that, at least for our team, I know the way we do things, right?
Yep.
We intend to sell, has to be there. They're not just looking to have a conversation. They're interested in selling.
Sure.
They're interested in selling within a reasonable time frame, not like, a year, maybe, whatever. That wouldn't make any sense. There's motivation, right? And they're not working with somebody else. Like, they're still open to options. They want to have a conversation about it. And Essentially, yeah. So we got the biggest things: intent, location. They're the owners of a property, right? We're speaking to the right people. Now our job is to make sure that we get that person over to the investor right away, right? Or to whoever's going to be closing the deal or working with this person. So that's when we factor in like the two appointments, right? But yes, there are people that we set up that are set up on your calendar. There could be a live transfer as well.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. You're referring to these guys as setters, but they are cold callers, right? Those setters.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Okay. Good. Okay. Yeah. I was getting mixed up with the vernacular, but so
Ross,
you're saying that you're closing 1 in 42 on the leads.
Yep. 142. So which number are you referring to?
Oh, okay.
42
okay.
appointments per month.
Okay. And one that leads to conservatively
Yeah,
one.
if they work 21 days, right? I'm assuming 21 business days here,
Mhm.
right? Times 2, that's 42. If you do 1 appointment per day, that's 21, right? So that's the number that bottom line, what I try to hit every day per rep is this number. But for that, you need to have a dialer that allows you to make enough calls, and you need to have a lot of conversations, and that's why you need to have the right rep because they can handle volume of conversations and a lot of hangups. If you don't have the right rep here, they're not gonna get you that. Right. So
Rusty,
yeah,
uh,
sorry.
I have something to say here. So I'm not sure how your process is or the process that they do for you, but if, for example, if the person that is sending you leads, they only send you the contact, that automatically decrease the pickup rate of the person that was just generated as a lead. If they are sending you a live transfer, and that means automatically you're getting them on the phone right after they had a conversation with the cold caller, that increases your chances of converting for a higher percentage. The same thing for an appointment. If the appointment is set up and someone basically agrees on a time schedule in their calendar and your calendar, that increases their intention and also their commitment, which also can be basically the appointment can actually be confirmed right after it was scheduled. So if you're just getting leads, which is just the contact information of the lead that says yes, you will have a lower conversion rate because you only get their contact information, right?
Right.
Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
That does make sense that if you're going to have that successful handoff. Now, are you handing that off to your investor, the companies that you're doing this for, or is that going to another member of your team, Christian, that is then going to filter out all the junk? Because there's going to be junk leads, if for every cold call that's going, if they get 2 a day, there's going to be some bad ones. Who's the one that is calling those bad ones out?
Depends on how your team's set up. Some people
Yeah.
want to take that traffic themselves, right? They have you know, what do you call that? Like almost like an SDR that vets them, like somebody that can do a triage call with them. Just to kind of go through the property in more detail, right? Because the cold caller will not have all the numbers themselves. They will, they will not be able to make sense of the numbers on that first call. So that typically depends on who they hand that conversation to. Could be the client, investor themselves, or it could be somebody on their team, or it could be somebody that would typically have on our team. It really depends on a case by case basis.
The way we have it set up, for example, Rusty, is the cold call live transfers are going to a lead manager or appointment, another appointment setter that it takes care of already generated leads and that does more of a triage, right?
Okay.
That's the way we have it set up. Some people they have their acquisition manager take care of it, right? And so on. But the way that we have it set up is we have an inbound setter take care of that. The outbound setter essentially is doing the cold calling,
Yep.
and the inbound setter is kind of protecting the calendar from the closers.
Okay, yeah, because I was just thinking about what an absolute nightmare that'd be to have 5 cold callers going trying to do 10 live transfers over to me every day with maybe a few, one out of those leads actually being something that, turns into like a nice lead that could potentially be closed. Yeah, that would be a pretty stressful day. So there is an intermediary that you guys have, which is an inbound center that is a little bit more savvy and can eventually give offers or not.
Yeah, so Esteban, so your team currently right now handles that, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so the answer would be yes, but sometimes it depends. If you want to build this for yourself, right, then you would have to have that person in your team because essentially you would own the system, right? But if you want to use a vendor such as one of us, we can definitely help you out, have somebody in the middle.
And Rusty, to be more clear, that setter or that lead manager will not give offers. They will just they'll go on a discovery call and they'll do the entire discovery and then they'll set up a offer call, which will be with you. And that offer call is basically the game plan that you've given them for selling their house. Right?
Okay. Yeah, I hear you. Thanks.
Good questions, though. But what I like about this, Rusty, is the potential, right? I get that filtering, the extra step to filter in the leads, but the potential and the cost to acquire people that have expressed that on the phone, that they are open to receiving an offer and having that conversation, that I think getting that organically sometimes, can be difficult, right? Obviously, that's something that I wanted to stress out here. So the ROI should definitely be there. It's the process that you want to build and how you want to tackle those leads is the biggest question here. All right. So yeah, these trackers, again, we build them live. We want to make sure that all the data gets pushed to make sure that, we can see this as it happens on every single call so that I know exactly where I'm standing. Because if you don't know, if you don't have a tracker in place, guys, you're going to likely make the wrong decisions or go by intuition, which is not recommended in this case. Okay, so any other questions, guys? No? All right, cool. So what I'm going to open it up to here, guys, I just want to make sure that, if you guys have an opportunity, if you guys are interested in getting some help, Esteban and myself have, come to an agreement where we actually going to be giving away one system build out where we actually set it all up for you. We're going to give it out for free. We're going to get a placement. We're going to get somebody, an appointment setter, do the training, do the ramp up, build everything inside and out for you, right? All that we ask, if you're interested in either doing that, getting into a raffle to be able to do that, or just a one-on-one consultation to set it up or give you more steps, deeper steps on how to do it yourself. I'll give you the phone number to reach out to, which is 647-956-4863. Just text the word REI and we're going to be able to answer any questions that you have. I'm going to put it here in the channel so you guys can copy, paste it if you want to save it for later. But we want to make sure that we are able to help you guys. That if you have anything that maybe you're doing it today, but it's not getting the right results, book a call, text REI. If you want to get something built out, you want to be one of those people that want to get this done because you've never done it, then text REI and we can, you can potentially get it done for free. Or if you have any other further questions, you just want to chat about it, this is going to go straight to me, right? And then we're going to be able to help you then. For now, I'm going to pass it back to Esteban for anything else you might want to add.
I was just responding to Jesse's comment that many calls and people seem like an excellent way to observe rapport with the seller. I don't know of any investors that want many cooks in the kitchen. I'm not sure where you're coming from, Jesse. That it's a point for sure, but it's a proven process already. Like a sales process is a sales process, right? Like it doesn't matter if you do one or two calls. Like if you figure out one cold close, great. If you figure out two cold closes, that's excellent too. There's people like Tiffany Hyde that she has a sales process where she has a discovery call and then an offer call and then whatever follow is needed for that. So it ends up being a close of 2 to 3 calls, right? 2 to 3 cold close. not a one call close. So I'm not sure, Jesse, if you wanted to like, say that, talk about that a little bit more. Jesse's.
I didn't mean, Esteban, thank you. I didn't mean as far as it's too many calls. I just meant it as in, I think it would get possibly confusing and concerning if, you had an appointment setter call originally, they hand it off to somebody else, then somebody else calls them back to do a discovery call, then somebody else is calling them back to make an offer call. If that handoff isn't executed perfectly, I would think that would greatly diminish your conversion results, is what I meant by that.
100%. If that handoff doesn't work, because that's why where it requires the skills to do that, right? That's why, because when a lead is generated and a cold call is being done, in order to increase your conversion, you have to hand it off to another person as fast as possible and get them on the call once again to then build rapport and understand, extract whatever it is. But if the acquisition manager or the closer is not available at that point, like Rusty's point, then I mean, like that's going to be a missed call, right? And it's not going to happen, which would turn into an appointment, which still could work, but there's less chances for them to show up to the appointment, for example, right? And then you'll have to figure out how to get them on the call once again. So it's just like a balance between efficiency and efficacy. It's what we're talking about here, right? And also works for bigger teams. Like if you have larger teams, ultimately that's a more of efficient way of doing it, right? Because if you're a solopreneur, then you can definitely take those calls and you'll have to be receiving those live transfers every hour or so, you know what I mean? And you have to take them, you know what I mean? And then follow your sales process, right? But yeah.
100% agree. 100% agree. I had one other question for you. Also, have you figured it out as far as what is your average, like, so the average person that you have helped build out teams for, do they have an estimated average cost per lead to actually get it from buying the data to across the finish line, contract complete, assignment paid, closing done? Have you ever been able to like figure out an average cost per acquisition through the cold calling system? And
Yeah.
the reason I ask is because I ran cold calling before, in wholesaling, and I think my constant concern was always that if I wasn't 100% dialed in, I would notice the cost would balloon quite quickly, to where it could easily go, from $1,200 cost of acquisition to, a month of not being on top of the numbers, and all of a sudden we're looking at 3,800, which that makes a huge difference in bottom line. And my other question for you, and I'll go back on mute, was how long do you, and this isn't as much for me, but for the group, how long when you bring on or you onboard a caller, how long do you let them work until you expect them to be performing at their KPIs before you cut them loose?
Yeah, I'll have the second question for Christian, but the first question, it's definitely like you're right. The cost per acquisition or the cost per deal can definitely fluctuate. I just know that outbound calling is a way. It's a really good way for you to have a predictable amount of appointments that meet a certain data that you want to call, and has a really good profit margins. It's just the hardest part is to maintain. So you'll have usually lower cost per deal from what I've seen compared to like direct mail and so on, or PPC or whatever, right? But it just takes longer to close those deals overall because it has a longer cash conversion cycle, right? It takes longer to actually convert those deals because it is a lower conversion rate than, let's say, an inbound channel like PPC, like Google Ads, due to the intent of this. As you can notice, it needs 42 appointments to at least predictably have one deal at a 5% conversion rate. That's 42 appointments. It could be 60 leads, right? So that's the biggest difference on there. So I think the calculator that Christian had can actually show you what would be the cost per deal based on that conversion rate and how many appointments are actually generated and so on. But yeah, it usually is 1 out of 60 leads that are generated, and if out of those leads, X amount of appointments are generated, then it would make sense that these numbers are in there. Actually, Christian is showing it right now. Okay. And are these conservative numbers, or are these like aggressively low or high numbers? Are we, Christian, I don't think we're considering here right now the sales conversion cycle, right? The cash conversion cycle length at this one, right? Because it might be more than the
Sorry, I was on
$800.
mute the whole time.
Oh, that's fine. But yeah, I
What
don't
I
think
mean by that, it's not taking into account how long does it take to close a deal, right?
Right.
Because it may take a few weeks to a few months. It really depends on the follow-up, right? It
Yeah.
takes into account how many conversations you had, and of those conversations you had, how good were you at closing that deal? So 5%, that's 1 out of 20 pitches, converting to a deal. So
Yeah.
essentially, it should be about $1,000.
This could be the number for the cost per contract, not necessarily per cost per deal. Because if you can get a contract, but you still have to wait until like closes. You know what I mean?
Right.
But-
And then you have other commissions that you may pay somebody else in your team, right, that are not impacted. This is just straight up the appointment setter and the system that got you that appointment, right? So other costs, such as other team members involved in the deal, that would not be covered by this.
Correct.
And the second, there was another question about ramp up, right? So how long does it take, for you to realize whether this person's good or not? Typically, because we hire people with a background of cold calling, once they start training, should take anywhere about 3 to 4 days to get them trained up. To start taking calls, would be at the end of the first week, and I should start seeing appointments within the first 3 days. If I don't get appointments in the first 3 days, after coaching them, et cetera, and listening to calls, then it depends on the person, but it's likely not going to work because the process should be pretty straightforward, right? It's not we already have the data, we already put the system together, right? Their job's to have conversations based on the training that we give them. So about 2 weeks to get to the performance that we want to get to from the time we hired them or started training, actually. Hopefully that answers your question. All right. Any other questions, y'all?
What
No?
questions you guys have? Drop it in the chat. This is the moment, the time.
Drop it in the chat. Drop it like it's hot.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, Kara's here. I haven't seen her in like.
And what should they text in the number field here? Sorry, what should they text again?
REI.
Okay, text REI. Text REI. It sounds like the key phrase there is you provide lots of training upfront and continue. Yes.
Yeah. No, yeah, always. You want to make sure that you do role plays, co-listening, you're paying attention to it, because if you don't pay attention, a lot of people would assume that they're actually doing their job, but it's, caveat, guys, it's not an easy thing to manage because you're managing people, right?
Yeah.
People are not easy to manage. So go in it. If you're going to get into this, don't go with an easy expectation that things are just going to happen because they just happen. No, you're going to have to put in the work or have somebody in your team do the work of being present, understanding what they're doing, listening to calls, doing coaching.
I guess one hack, Christian, would be if they really want to build a call center, I would first hire someone that still will do the cold calling, but want to do a leadership role and have managed and experience managing cold callers and keeping track of cold callers, accountable, leading them. And then they'll help you hire those cold callers. That's kind of like a top-down hire. And you can hire that person first, be that first cold caller, and be like, the expectation is that you're going to be my leader. You're going to you're going to help me create this department, and you're going to hire on cold callers under that.
Yeah. So just don't hire crappy people. Bottom line, hire the first one should be your best one, or always try to get the best one. But like honestly, the first person is key, right? If you get a crappy caller and then you want to promote somebody in the future to be the team leader, to like just be running that team. So top down. Top down. All right. So think we got a lot of questions answered. We got a lot of question marks as well. I know that they may continue, guys. So even if you have a question, just text REI as your question. I'll answer it for you. Okay.
Yes,
So
sir. Can you show the slide real quick, or what they get and stuff, real quick?
so yeah, we're gonna do a full build out for you for free if you're selected. We're gonna build it out, the trackers, do the placements, train them up, getting ramped up, getting those appointments done for you. Or if you want to book a consult, we'll definitely help you out, or any question about the presentation as well. So that's what we're gonna be doing here for you. I tried to get a shorter number, last minute, but it didn't work out. So hopefully you remember this one, y'all.
Yeah, it could have been like 647 REI, boom.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
But next time.
REI, boom. That's my next phone number I'm getting. All right. Gus, man, you're here. Happy to see you.
We have a few legends in this call. That's crazy.
Yeah, I haven't seen Gus in like forever, and Kara. So it's very nice to see them.
Yeah.
And everybody else. So I already got a few text messages I saw. So I'll connect with you all. Thank you for making time. Thank you, Esteban, for having me here.
Guys, if you like this, please comment here and just reply with the fire emoji. Just put a fire emoji in the chat if you liked it. If you guys found any value whatsoever, put a fire emoji in the chat. Fire emoji is easy to find. I'll put a fireman emoji because there's a lot of fire. All right. So fire emoji, cool. Is there any social media that people can follow you or something, or?
Yeah, so you can find me on Facebook, y'all. Christian Betancourt. I'm the only one with that Papa Bear picture that you can find there. That's me. And you can go at outboundpro.io. You can connect with my team, or the phone number I just gave you guys, where you can reach out to me directly as well. So whichever way you want, just don't be a stranger.
Yes. All right, entrepreneurs, thank you so much for coming in here, and we're gonna plan out the next masterclass and so on. We'll let you guys know by email and stuff. Jesse, thank you for those questions. I love it. What is that? All right. Have a great one. And if you guys are in Miami, we're running our first in-person event of our entrepreneurs at 6 p.m. today. So if you guys want to come here, at some point I'm gonna do that in Toronto as well whenever I go back, if you guys are in Canada. But all right.
See you all.
Thank you so much for the call, man. Thank you. It was great information.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.